Our final theory for the mind-body problem that we're going to discuss is property dualism. Property dualism sounds like substance dualism, I know, but it's actually quite distinct because instead of saying that there are separate substances, property dualism is going to say there are two kinds of properties. Okay, so for property dualism, there are mental properties that are not physical. Okay, mental properties that are not physical. There is no non-physical substance. Okay, property dualism does not agree with substance dualism. Property dualism is, in fact, a materialist theory. But while all substances are physical substances, the property dualist says, there are non-physical properties. Okay? So mental properties are a product of proper construction of physical stuff. Huh? Okay, let me explain. So imagine we've got a person, no stick figure this time, which makes me uncomfortable because it gets more complicated. All right, so we've got a head, okay? We've got a head. All right, ish. Okay, and we've got a brain. And in this brain, there's stuff happening, okay? So there are neurons firing, chemicals being secreted, and so forth. Here's the situation. Mike here has a regular old human squishy gray matter brain. But that squishy gray matter brain is really, really, really complex because, as we know, our brains are made up of a number of different parts and a whole bunch of brain cells, right? It is the fact that Mike's brain has all of those different parts, all of those brain cells, and they're put together in the right sort of way that allows for certain things that go on, certain activities in the brain to give rise, almost like steam coming up off of something, not even steam. Think about like when you're driving on a really, really, really hot day and your blacktop on your road, like it starts to look wavy because of the heat emanating from the road. You've all experienced this, right? Well, it's that sort of thing. And this is the mental state. So whatever's going on here in the brain, it's giving rise to a mental state. Pain, or a thought, or hunger, or whatever. But the brain being put together in a particular way allows this non-physical property to come about, this non-physical property of having a mental state. Consider a glass. Let's try, let me give you one other analogy. Okay, consider a glass. Okay, it's got liquid in it, right? Now, this glass can hold water. But if we shatter the glass into pieces, right? You've got shards of glass everywhere. Can any of those shards hold water? No. The pieces of the glass put together in the right sort of way allows for it to contain water. The particular construction of the pieces into a whole allows for this other property, being able to hold liquid. Just like with the human brain and maybe other things, the particular construction allows for this other property to arise, these non-physical mental properties. And the idea here, property dualism, also has multiple realizability because our brains clearly do this, if property dualism is true, but perhaps E.T.'s slimy, gooey, yucky brain can as well. Perhaps Data's positronic net from Star Trek The Next Generation can do it as well. Perhaps whatever's inside of his head, C-3PO can do it as well. So we again don't require the squishy gray matter brain, but we require whatever it is to be constructed in just the right way. So non-physical properties are primitive properties. They're not going to be reduced to anything else. Okay? Identity theory reduces mental properties to brain states. Functionalism reduces mental properties to processes. Property dualism says we can't do that. They are non-physical, they are primitive properties. And they participate in downward causation. Okay, downward causation. What that means is we've got stuff going on in Mike's brain here, and it's resulting in pain. Well, pain then has the capability, this mental state causes things to happen in parts of the brain that result in other behaviors, okay? The brain as a whole gives rise to pain. And the product of it giving rise to pain is that it makes things happen in certain areas of the brain, in parts of the brain, but not in others. That's what we call downward causation, downward from the whole brain to parts of the brain. And that's how our mental states can cause our behaviors, because our mental states, which arise from this larger whole of the brain, results in parts of the brain doing something, which results in a behavior, jumping up and screaming ouch. Does that make sense? Property dualism is still a relatively new theory, and there's a lot to be said for it, but there's also a lot that still needs to be discussed about it. So there's a whole lot more conversation out there that can be had about property dualism.